Hey, it's been a minute. I took a short weekend trip to Snake Road, which was amazing. It's this road in southern Illinois where all these snakes migrate every year from the bluffs down into the river, and they just cross the road and you can walk the road and see them all, and it was amazing. Here's a short video. So I'm kind of in the final stages of getting a Cozy Den print ready. I want to try and print it through drive-through RPG and see what happens. I don't know, it's about 20 pages total. It's small. I want to do like a little zine size, like 8.5 by 5.5. And I'm doing all the layout just myself on Scribus, and the cover myself. It's like more difficult in some ways than it should be because I don't have the Adobe suites anymore, and you know, they're expensive, and using all these other programs and then translating them into PDFs is a whole thing, but it's part of the process, right? So I don't know, I kind of just wanted to talk today about how to get your work out there, because that's what I'm doing right now with my game, with the Cozy Den. And you know, it's a small, weird, queer game, even though it's powered by the apocalypse. Just the fact that it has, you know, queer content, lesbian content, and snakes in it, and it doesn't have to do with violence. It's a cozy game. Those three things make it kind of strange in the tabletop RPG landscape. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to share how I'm getting my weird game out there, some of the strategies that I use. So probably the biggest tool that I have in my arsenal is networking with other small game makers. You know, April TT RPG Maker has been great for this. I've met new people who are out there. I've met people at conventions. I've been going to conventions since like 1995. So I have a lot of, you know, just connections and friends from that who are doing the same thing that I'm doing. I've networked through, you know, through the Forge and through Story Games and through RPGNet, through Twitter, G+. Pretty much any venue that I have managed to be a part of. There's always a few people, maybe not everyone, like everyone might not be a good fit for you, obviously, as a friend or as a cool connection, as a person who's making the same kind of stuff you are. But I found that those connections are so helpful because if I'm having trouble, I can ask questions, I can get feedback, and it's a cool design community where we're all kind of working together towards the same goals, and we want to see other people succeed. And I found so many people have been helpful. So that is like my number one thing that I do to get my stuff out there is, you know, get connected, get to know who else is making things like you in your industry. The second thing, because I am queer and I'm a lady, is basically finding cis white dudes who are vocal in the communities of things that you're buying or you want to sell to, basically, and try to get them as allies. I don't mean to like bother them or harass them in any way. Nobody is obligated to support you, no matter who you are. But because I'm part of a marginalized group, a marginalized voice, and you know, a majority of tabletop role-playing game buyers are not queer women. You know, you gotta get whoever the majority is as an ally. And that's useful because they can kind of promote your stuff help you out with other connections if you need them, boost your signal, you know, on social media. All that type of stuff is really helpful to have if you are a marginalized creator. And also, you know, cis white dudes, if you're listening, try to support your marginalized creators. We just have a little bit more working against us when it comes to getting our work out there and visible to the community, and you can help a lot. This is the hardest one for me. I still suck at selling my own work, even though I have been doing it in various forms for, I don't know, 15 years at least now. And you know, it's always hard to talk about your own work and to sell it to people and talk it up, but talking about it is so important. You know, talk about it all the time, talk about it in different places. Don't overload people, right? Like, don't have that be the only thing you talk about. But if you are your greatest marketing source, you have to constantly remind people, hey, this is a thing that I made. Remember this thing? It's awesome. Please check it out. Please buy it and support me. And that reminder, like sometimes I see that reminder and I'm like, oh yeah, that person made that game. I completely forgot. And if they hadn't told me about it, I would not have remembered. So talk about your work. Tell everyone about it, tell the internet about it, and that kind of helps to get it out there. You're your best advocate for the work that you're making. Nobody else can talk about it the same way that you can. So definitely do that. Talk about your stuff. Keep making things. The more you make, the more visible all of your work will be. You will have a portfolio of work instead of just one thing, you know, instead of one game or one piece. You'll have multiple things you've worked on. You'll start to create a type of style that people will recognize. And the more work you have, the more people can point back to you as a creator. It basically helps with your potential visibility if you have more than one game. When it comes to weirder games, I say weirder in that they are not mainstream or status quo, right? So, you know, if it's not about Tolkien fantasy or fighting dudes, it's probably a little weird in the landscape of tabletop role-playing games. And there's some venues that support and sell those better. I think that Itch.io is one of those places. They support specifically indie games and comics and video games. So that's kind of cool. That's a cool venue. Also IPR, which is the Indie Press Revolution group. They sell at different conventions, they sell online, and they've kind of got a curated selection of small press games. So kind of look at those venues to be places that can curate your work to the type of audience you're trying to sell it to. You know, there's lots of little things I do all the time to try and get my stuff out there. I run things or play games on Twitch, which is a great venue for tabletop role-playing games right now. You know, I have a really big social media presence on multiple platforms, which I will post different things to. That's just something I enjoy doing, but it is useful to get your stuff out there to different groups of people or different audiences who are using different social media these days, like people who aren't on Facebook anymore, for example. And, you know, running it at conventions, like if you run your game through Games on Demand, that's a great place to showcase small games, small press games and indie games by creators. If you can't be there, you can ask and see if other people will run it for you. Usually people experiencing the game is one of the best ways to get it in front of people who might potentially want to run it for their friends or share it or get excited about your work. So that is definitely a bonus. And lots of just other little things as far as like, you know, sharing artwork or different types of techniques that you're using to design your work, like talking about design in public, sharing different mechanics from your game. Stuff like that can kind of highlight it. And I'm kind of bad at doing this. Like I haven't really done this actually with a cozy den. And I think it's because I'm like, oh, it's my thing, I'm nervous. And I just kind of have to get over it. And so do you, so does anybody else who's making a small weird game. You know, we are our best advocates, like I said earlier. So just a short and sweet video, some stuff I'm thinking about getting my games out there. I hope this was helpful to you. As always, please like and subscribe, share with your friends if you think they're interested, because I make videos every few days. I'm trying to anyway. I might switch to once a week. My time has been pretty bananas recently. I'm working on some really exciting projects and they're taking up more time than I thought they would. And if you're interested in watching me run some games, I'm currently running a playtest of my game Sync, which is a cyberpunk activist nonviolent game, and that is on the actual play channel, so I will link that below for you. And have a fantastic weekend. I hope it's warming up where you are. See you next video.